Hello, everybody, and welcome to Talk to Me Tuesday, where we're sharing helpful networking tips to help grow your business. Oh my God, I cannot believe we are in the first Tuesday of December. Man, I am so super excited. But now listen, today we're going to do something just a tad bit different. We are still talking about visibility and the importance of how visibility, increases your business. But we just launched, Tapped In Magazine just launched the top 25 influential leaders of 2022, and we have some of the amazing leaders that's going to be joining us today. And matter of fact, we have a beautiful lady that's joining us today. So we're going to kind of give the floor to her. We're going to let her tell a little bit about who she is, what she do. I mean, we'll dive into some good conversation, but this is all about these amazing influential leaders, and I want you to really pay attention. Listen, first of all, make sure that you like, share, and comment this. Grab your pen and paper because note takers are money makers. But I want you to be able to figure out how you can connect with this amazing lady. I mean, she has some good juice, y'all, in doing what she does and making the impact that she makes. You're going to want to have her in your network. So listen, make sure that you get her information in the chat. Join us in the chat if you have some questions, because we'll be open to answer them. But listen, I got to quit talking because she got 30 minutes. So Miss Rita, please introduce yourself. Tell our listeners who you are and what you do, and then we're just going to really just dive into the conversation.
Well, Tandra, I know you as the conversation lady. That's how we met, was your networking event. And so before I talk about me, let's just all give a few snaps to Tandra Price, who got this amazing presidential award. What I love about you, Tandra, is that the more you rise, the more people you bring along with you.
Yes.
Which is incredible. So thank you for Tapped In Magazine. Thank you for inviting me to be a part of the spectacular issue. These women, I sat in bed last night. I couldn't go to sleep. I sat there reading everybody else's stories. It's just monumental to be a part of this.
Oh my God.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
So we got to make sure that we get all this good juice. I mean, listen, this is so juicy, y'all. We got to share it. I say all the time how we have to share. We can't do this thing by ourselves. So Miss Rita, introduce yourself. Tell them who you are and a little bit about what you do, and then we're going to dive into some conversation.
So I am Rita Ernst, and I'm the author of Show Up Positive and the founder of the Show Up Positive movement. And I'm an organizational psychologist. That's been my whole career. And during 2020 and 21, the early days of the pandemic, I found myself joining in locking arms with essential workers and their leaders who were really struggling with all of the negativity and dissatisfaction and discontent that all of us felt in every area of our lives because of the pandemic, but it was coming into the workplace for those essential workers in a very draining way. And these were people who self-described their workplaces as, their friends and their colleagues, and they had deep ownership and commitment to their jobs and what they were doing, but they were just really struggling to decide if this was still the right career, if it was still the right path for them, if it was still the right company, and really having a hard time naming what was happening. And so I put on my psychology hat and I walked through the doors and interviewed and talked with people. And what we really found was that people had just gotten into something that we are biologically designed to do. Did you know that, Tandra? Well, you read the book, you've shared it, you said with some of your classes, that we're biologically designed to give attention to the negative things in our lives. And so here we are in this time when the news is negative. I open up the book talking about this sort of perfect storm, 3 different cataclysmic events that were happening that were just generating so much negativity around us all the time. So it's not surprising that people fell into the habit of just noticing what was wrong and forgetting to notice what was right. And so my Show Up Positive movement isn't about sunshine and rainbows and slapping a happy face on everything, but it is on recognizing that when we choose to give with intentional, deliberate action, time and attention to bringing positivity into our own lives, we spread that. It's a ripple that goes out and it encourages other people to do the same. And when you start balancing your visibility to positive things in your life, what you do is you give yourself sustenance to weather the storm when you're hitting these really, really negative and difficult times, whether those are in one-on-one interpersonal relationships, within your work team, or within your broader life. So that's the whole construct of the Show Up Positive movement and the book. And I was doing my work mainly with businesses here in my local area, which is Louisville, Kentucky. And I thought to myself, how can I spread this to more people? And I have to say, Tandra, being with you in the conversation over coffees, ladies, you are part of the reason that I did that, just being in this group of women who are really supporting of one another. And we were talking about how to have an impact that was bigger than just ourselves and our wallets. And so that was what I chose to do with my time in the pandemic, was find a solution that was really replicable to a lot of different businesses. And I chose the book as a vehicle to bring those ideas to people everywhere in hopes that more people will join the movement and recognize their strength and their ownership of the culture of their workplace and their ability to shape that into what they need it to be.
Yes. Listen, that's a snap right there. Because me, I'm always saying, the blessings are in the show up. And you know what? Everything you said is so important, because we let a lot of that negativity just drown us out, and somehow or another we cannot. We need the vehicle, the tool that you have to say, listen, this can be so much better. We can change all of this. We don't have to focus on this, and we can show up positive, because the more positive we show up, listen, the more blessings that come out. You know what I'm saying? So tell us a little bit now. I know that even in your article, you talked about a few steps to of showing up positive. So tell us a little bit about those steps that you kind of have outlined in your article, that gives someone to let them know that it's not as hard as what you think. You know what I'm saying? To just show up positive.
Yes, because let me say to what you were just talking about, Tandra, in the book Good to Great, Jim Collins shared the story of Admiral Stockdale, and the Stockdale paradox is basically the idea that you are brutally honest. He was an admiral who was captive in the Hanoi Hilton. He was the longest held prisoner of war at his rank. I think he was there for like 7 years. And he tells the story about how he worked with his officers and said, you're going to break. They're going to torture you and you're going to break. So let's talk about what's the little thing that you are going to give, that you're going to let go when you break. Because it's not pretending that you're not going to break. That's unrealistic. Let's be honest.
Yes.
They will break you, but you don't have to give up the whole farm. And they developed these ways of communicating that were subtle, hand signals and things behind the scenes to keep. So they were very, very clear that they were prisoners of war, that they were going to be tortured, that all these horrible things were going to happen. And yet they looked at one another and said, we will get through this together. And that's the show up positive. It's not that you don't ever have negative in your life. It's that when you have negative in your life, you say, it sucks. This is really bad right now. And yet I will persist and I will get to the other side of this. And I will do that my way. I will find my path. I believe in my strength. I will draw on the people around me to get me there, right? That's the whole idea. So in the article, what I share in the 3 tips comes to the idea really around belonging. And then I know on LinkedIn, you and I are both, we're big powerhouses on LinkedIn. And there's a lot of conversation right now about belonging on LinkedIn in my network. And it's probably because of the people that I attract. But I want you guys to pay attention to the nuance of this word. So belonging, right? Belonging. What I encountered in talking with individuals in that early pandemic time was longing. It was a very deep sadness and longing for who they used to be and the work team that they used to be a part of. They wanted that back. They were missing that, right? They were longing to have that in their lives. And so the tips that I give in the article are about tapping into your longing, really getting clear about what you care about so deeply, what matters to you. If you could create, because I believe you can, what you wanted, what would that be? And there is the B part of longing. So we're longing for something, and the difference between belonging and longing is BE, how we be, how we show up. So what I give you are tips about how to really tap into your longing as your true north, as your guidepost to help you understand what matters the most to you so that you can start to be those things for yourself.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So listen, we're going to reset the room again. We have the amazing Rita with us, and she is talking about her article that she has in Tapped In magazine. She is one of the top 25 influential leaders of 2022. And she's amazing, guys. And what she's telling you, I hope you got your notebook and you're taking these amazing notes down. What she's telling you is, how do we show up positive in life and what we're doing, and how are we belonging? It's so important that you understand kind of where this is all going, and how this can really, impact what you do now, and how it can impact your business moving forward, especially into 2023. Listen, you need to make sure she's put her information into the chat that you be able to connect with her and be able to have her in your network. She's an amazing resource. And Tapped In magazine always brings you resource tips and guides to help you grow your business. But let's jump back into this again. So you're right. So when the pandemic came, it was a lot of people needing to belong to something because they missed that connection.
Yes,
And they needed a resource too, because you have to look at, even during the pandemic, there was such a lot of disconnect, would I say. So people's mentality, their mentality was shifting, and they couldn't focus on what was right in front of them, and knowing that, I have this thing that there's no bad days, that there's always going to be good things on the other side. We are going to get past this. So talk a little bit more about, motivational tips, like of what it would take to show up positive. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, a lot of people always think that, oh yeah, you're just saying that, or yeah, listen, but once you put it into your mind and you implant it, like, we're planting seeds, it becomes something that just grows and festers, and it happens to you automatically. So let's talk a little bit about that, Rita.
I completely, I agree with that because you have read the book. I think we can endure so much more in our lives when we have that sense of belonging and purpose. Mm-hmm. I think there's two foundational things that all of us need for motivation. We need belonging and we need purpose. And there are times when we lose clarity about that. There are times when we just drift away from that because of all that's going on. But when you start missing those two things, when you don't have the purpose or you don't have the belonging, you're definitely going to be on the struggle bus. And I think the saying that I have in the book is practicing show up positive behaviors and beliefs and attitudes. It's like calisthenics. It's a workout that preps you mentally. And so the way I help you do that, and it's like one of my favorite things about this book, is I wrote the book in two sections. So the first section is sort of the whole why and what, but the second section is a compendium of 50 ways to show up positive. And
okay, so let me stop you there. So 50 ways to show up positive. So give us some of those. Listen, first of all, I want y'all to grab the book, go purchase her book, because these are some tips and resources. Now, I want her to just give us just a couple of ways to show up positive. Don't give them all to, because I want them to go and purchase your book. So now give us just a few ways of how you can show up positive.
I always like to start with a really simple one. It's at the very back of the book because they're alphabetical, but the word is welcoming. And what I had in my mind when I was writing this segment was the old sitcom Cheers. Did you watch that sitcom?
Yes. I love some Cheers.
So Tandra, when Norm walked into the bar, what happened?
He was like, hello, welcome, how you doing? He was so cheerful. That was the whole purpose
of the movie. As soon as he walked in the door, everybody said, Norm, right? I mean, it was, and he knew he was home. Everybody knew this was his home, right?
Mhm.
And that's what welcoming gives you. It gives you the sense of home, of
Comfort.
being with
Yeah.
your people, of being wanted, of being having all the opportunity around you for relationship and for connection, and what you know, and quiet when you need it, right?
Mhm,
But it is
mhm.
sort of that sense of home. So welcoming is one. Do you pay attention and practice regularly just welcoming people that walk through your door or pass you at
Mhm,
work?
mhm.
You
You
know,
know,
do you?
that's so funny that you say that because you know what? These are things that, we really do automatically, but we really don't realize that we do them and the effect that they have when we do them. You're right. When you came in, you wanted to make people feel comfortable and welcome to talk with you and feel like they were in a space. Okay, keep going. Because listen, I can interrupt anytime. But
Yeah, we do. But you know, one of my favorite things that kept me coming back in the early days when I first found conversations over coffee, I didn't know any of you ladies, but it was a very welcoming vibe. You would always like go round robin and you would invite all of us to share a win.
yes, yeah.
And then I was motivated. I was like, "Oh, okay, I want to have a good win. I want to just not have a I made it to onto the call this week, but I want to have like something I'm really proud to celebrate with these women."
Yes,
Right?
yes.
And that's what the kind of welcoming connection can do. All of these things are really just about connection. But so there's welcoming is one. The other one I always love to talk about is curiosity because I believe curiosity could cure everything that ails us in every area of our lives. If instead of standing in judgment of ourselves and other people, we chose to get curious. Well, that's interesting. Why would they respond so angrily about that? Well, that's interesting. Why would they not acknowledge me? That's kind of strange. Well, that's interesting. I usually don't make errors like that, but oh, I made an error. I wonder what was different this time. I mean, I had responsibility for final proof on my article and I missed an error.
Mhm.
And as I was reading through the magazine, I was like, "Oh, that's so silly, Rita. Like you missed." But I'm a horrible editor, by the way. I'm a decent writer. I'm a horrible editor. I need somebody else to like copy edit for me and make sure that all those mistakes get found. But it's just. But I'm human. I've just learned to say, like, I'm just not going to beat myself up about that. I'm just going to accept that I'm a human and I'm not going to be perfect all the time. And isn't that curious? What might I want to learn from that so the next time I do better? And I have this conversation with myself all the time about editing. It doesn't seem to fix
But you know
a lot of
what?
those problems.
I love what you're saying because that's the transparency of us as leaders. Listen, we are not perfect. We're not 100%. But it's good when we can look at it and say, because most I'm gonna tell you, most leaders don't want to confess when they've done something wrong or when something doesn't come right. And really to be a true influential leaders, listen, we all have our good and bad days. We all make mistakes along the way. There's nothing that's ever perfect. So for us to be able to be a part of the healing process and to be a part of the welcoming process, when we can admit our own faults, I mean, that makes us even better. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what I call my work right now in the Show Up Positive movement, I call it culture repair work.
Oh, I love that. I love. Oh, let me write
And
that down.
but it is, and I say it in the book, it is healing work, Tandra, because people do get their feelings hurt. People build up resentment. We tell ourselves we are such good storytellers.
Mhm.
Human beings are amazing storytellers, but sometimes the stories we tell ourselves actually hold us back.
Ooh, ooh, that's a woo woo. You're so right. That
And
is so
when we
right.
And when we can step back and start to notice the stories that we are telling us ourselves that are limiting us and reflecting on those and choosing a different story. I've given you 50 prompts for a different story. Instead of people at work are really cold, I want people to be more welcoming. I'm going to start being the person that walks in the room and says, "Hey, how you doing? Haven't seen you in a while. Nice to see you today." I'm going to start being that person and I'm going to see if anybody does that back to me or not.
Mhm. You know what? I'm telling you, they will, because here's the biggest thing. Even, when I talk about networking, the fastest and quickest way to start a conversation with anybody without saying anything is just smile. Once you smile at somebody, I
Yes.
mean, you will be amazed of the conversation that happens after that. But you're so right. I just think that a part of what we do is, I love the title, Show Up Positive. We got to show up, and we have to show up in our authenticity way so people can really relate to us and be able to build a relationship with us. The more real, I want to say, that you show up, the more relationships that you build. Because without doing that, it's really hard. It's really hard. I mean, people always say, even when they go into networking, oh my God, I hate networking. I don't know how to do this, because you've already, again, psyched yourself up to not come in and show up positive. Okay, did y'all hear that? You've already psyched yourself to come in and not show up positive. That's why you have to get Rita's book. Listen, put the link of where they can actually go and purchase that book into the feed, because the more you show up, listen to this, showing up positive means doing it in a lot of different ways. She's gave you 50 in the book, and then now she's going to be able to work with you and break down those 50s. Would you agree? You can work with them to break down those 50s.
And I will say, if you go to my website and you click the Show Up Positive link, the first thing you're going to get are all the hot links to order the book. But I'm double tasking her. I will try.
We just want people to go in right now while we're talking. It's a very hot topic right now.
So let me say that one of the things that I wanted to do was I wanted to have imagery with each word, and I was unable to make that fit into the budget for this first book. It may make its round because there is a second book coming and more positive sparks. But if I were going to put an image next to each word, like you do in this encyclopedia, for example, I think, Tandra, I would put your image next to the word illuminate, which is another one of my favorite Show Up Positive sparks, because that's what you do. You take your spotlight, whatever's coming your way, you just turn it and you share it. You bring somebody else alongside you and you share that with you, and with others. But that ability to really say, don't just look at me, look at the others around me. Let me illuminate all the good. Let me illuminate all the people that helped me get here to this moment. Like, thank you for the pay raise, but let me also say that these 3 people helped me, or thank you for the promotion, but I am been able to deliver what I could deliver because I had this person at my side helping me every step of the way. That's what illuminate looks like and sounds like. It's just that opportunity to really notice and call out others. But yes, girl, you could be the queen. You could have the crown right there next to that word.
I love that. And I should have put that in as a part of influential leaders, because, here's the thing. When we talk about being an influential leader, I mean, there's a lot of different definitions and terminology that you can look up in the dictionary, but really it's about giving your time, talent, resources, gifts, and services to help someone else win. We have to do that. It's about, the more we give unconditionally and not expect anything in return, the more that we give back. It's a growing process. It's like you said, it's a healing process. Those stories that we generate come from the experience that we do when we help and share and give back. And a lot of times it's not always the give me syndrome, give me. That's not showing up positive. And with these 15 tips that she has in this book, I mean, it's going to let you understand really what showing up positive is and giving back, guys. I mean, that's huge. Like right now, a lot of us look at being in competition instead of, listen, it's not about competition. Going into 2023, how can we collaborate and add value? How can you collaborate and add value to your business in 2023? That's going to make a difference, right? We're still trying to create legacies here. And believe it or not, people are watching you. They're watching what you do. They're watching how you show up positive. They're watching how you're showing up in the market space. What are you saying? How encouraging are you being to someone else? So I mean, I loved it. I was so glad that I was, oh my God, Rita's coming, because this is our thing. This is our thing. I'm like, listen, the blessings and the show up, it matches perfectly. Showing up positive, because I mean, listen, I was having a conversation. I'm just saying this. I'm jumping back to you. I was having a conversation with another gentleman earlier, and he was like, "Hey, Tina, I really want you to do some one-on-one with me." And the first thing we start talking about is having the right mentality. In who's listening to you, who's talking to you, what is something being said to you every day? I mean, you get up in the morning and we're thinking positive. Guess what? That negativity just sets right on in, and we never get past that. So I'm glad you brought this book, Show Up Positive. Listen,
well, and I think you're saying something that's important that we haven't said, but that is worthy of saying, and that is there's 50 words for that. Was intentional, that was deliberate, because it's not every day I pick a word and I've mastered that word and I move on. This is mindset work, exactly what you're saying, right? This is mindset work. And so I want you to pick a word for the week, a word for 2 weeks, a word for a month. Like, I want you to sit in that word for a while and really feel what it is to be that, and to show that to other people. When you start your Show Up Positive journey, it's very important that you are starting for you. If you're starting that journey to control other people around you, you've got the wrong end of the stick, and it is not going to go well for you. You need to do it for you. You need to say, I am enough. I can be what I need in the world, and show other people what that looks like, and trust that they will follow my lead, because I'm a leader and I can lead others. And when you start from that place and you start doing the things that you need to really have your cup filled on a daily basis, you give it to others and you trust the universe to bring it back to you. Exactly what you were saying.
Yes.
And I will tell you, we do this exercise when I run workshops. We do this exercise, and every time when we debrief it, all we do is we write thank you notes. And when I ask people to talk about the process, what did it feel like when you were writing the thank you note? And they're like, I was back in the moment of what was happening, right? What did it feel like when you spoke that out loud to the rest of the people at your table? That you get all this good energy. You juice yourself.
Yes. When I love that.
Right? So, and that's really the beauty of the idea, is that this is about, thank you, Dr. Wendy. This is about standing in your power.
Standing in your power.
Choose to stand in your power. Recognize it's an abundance. And that's what you were talking about that earlier. And it's interesting because I just, I wrote a guest blog that for my friend, Ashley Evans, on LinkedIn, and I'm just now promoting it. It just came out, and it is all about the scarcity abundance issue. And abundant is one of the Show Up Positive Spark words. And it makes the most sense when you see it in the context of what its antithesis is, which is scarcity. But there's so much of our world and so much of capitalist economics is based on this idea of scarcity. I've got to fight for mine. I've got to hold on to mine. I've got to compete. I got to rise above others. But the abundant mentality says, all ships rise on the tide. If Tandra does better, I will do better too. If I support her, it will come back to me.
Oh, love it.
And and I know that's your networking message over and over and over again. But we are fighting a lot of norms, for better or for worse. We are fighting a lot of norms in society that want to tell you that you've got to get ahead, that you're in competition.
Yes.
But you can retrain yourself to recognize there's plenty.
There's so much. There is so much. Okay, Miss Rita, thank you so much. Listen, she is one of our top 25 influential leaders of 2022. Listen, we just got a little bit sneak peek of what this amazing lady is all about. I want you guys to grab her book, connect with her. She's giving you her information of how to connect with her. She needs to be a part of your network. Do not let her not be a part of your network.
Yeah, you'll find all my social links on my website. So if you go to igniteextraordinary.com, it's an easy place to get all of those links. And then there's also descriptions in the Show Up Positive page about the workshops and speaking and things like that that I do around the book if you're interested in learning more. But I would love for every listener today to say yes to joining the Show Up Positive movement and bringing it forward. And you can catch me every Monday on a LinkedIn live stream, my YouTube channel at Ignite Extraordinary, every Monday at 11:45. If you don't have time to get in the book, I bring you a Show Up Positive spark to really help you set your week on a path to more positivity.
Wow. Wow. Listen, I hope everyone wrote that down. If not, follow us back. This is going to be on replay for those who didn't get a chance to check it out. This is on our replay channel as well. Okay, thank you so much, Miss Rita. I enjoyed being with you and talking with you. We have next up Mrs. Dr. Wendy Labette, and she's going to come in and talk a little bit more. She's our next one of our top 25 influential leaders. Thank you so much, Rita.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Hey, Miss Wendy.
Hey, I'm gonna take these glasses off.
How are you doing?
Girl, I'm doing fine, busy, but grateful that I'm busy. I could be twiddling my thumbs, but I'm not. Thank you, Jesus.
Okay, Miss Lady, look, you broadcasting everywhere, so we got a good large audience here with us. So again, we have another one of our amazing top 25 influential leaders who is doing some amazing things. Listen, first of all, we want to say congratulations to her because she just, listen, I ain't even gonna steal the thunder. I'm gonna let you talk and tell what you just won. She made an amazing, wonderful award for her podcast, television, TV podcast show, Zandra. So listen, I just want to give a hand clap because listen, I happen to be one of her participants. I don't know if it was that segment, but I happened to be on her show and it was amazing. Listen, go to my page and you can be able to watch our interview with Mrs. Wendy. So Wendy, let's just jump into it. Tell them who you are, what you do, and then we're just going to jump into some questions. How about that?
Okay, that sounds good. I'm Dr. Wendy Labatt, the financial healer, and I want to thank you for having me on the show and selecting me to be one of the 25 influential leaders in 2022. Hey.
Yes.
And I have I've created the Financial Cure System, which includes master classes, workshops, my award-winning TV show, which you have been a guest on. And I've got, 2 books that I've written that are out: Financial Cure, Diagnose Your Financial Health, and Optimize Your Financial Health. And book number 3 I'm working on now, which would be Protect Your Financial Health. So I empower, entrepreneurs, business owners, executives, and individuals to, kind of lessen the pain of inflation, to overcome anorexic income, obese debt, spending addictions, and other financial ills so that they can take control over their finances, become financially free, build a financial legacy, create generational wealth, and enjoy life that they desire.
Wow. Okay, so listen, this powerhouse lady, we got to break a whole bunch down for her. So, first, I want you to see the award, so I definitely want to give applause to that. So tell us a little bit about your show.
Okay, my show is Financial Cures with Dr. Wendy Labatt. And I'm about to film season 3, but the first season was more of a personal finance edition. We talked about tithing and giving back. We talked about proper protection, nonprofits and fundraising. We did, matter of fact, one of the boards that I sit on, which is a nonprofit, we talked about, preparing for the new jobs that are coming out, clean energy jobs, technology jobs. And it was really a good segment. And then one of the key sessions was personal credit. Because, everybody wants to do that quick fix, but, you have to understand how the system works. We had an expert on that really broke it down. And then season 2 was the business edition, which we talked about, branding, which is more than just your logo. We talked about, protecting your intellectual property and setting up, legal structures. Well, of course, we had you as our networking expert. Then we had, a guest talking about exposure, getting exposure for your brand and for your business. And we had, again, proper protection, because it's so important. My story, my breast cancer story, that's key. And that's something we're going to focus on, because everybody needs to have it. And I think that's it. I can't think of anything else on that. But my show, thanks to all my guests and Zondra TV Network, was selected to be the first recipient of the Blue Rose Brilliance Award. So I'm really, proud of that. And it makes my show an official award-winning show, even though it was award-winning because we were on the award-winning Zondra TV Network. But now that I've won it, or my show is recognized with an official award, it just makes it, sweeter. So I'm really happy about it.
Okay. So Wendy, you have to put in there, I want you to put into the chat how they can get on your show. Okay. One of the things we do here at Tapped In Magazine, our motto is each one promote one.
Okay.
So we don't hold nothing back. Everyone that's going to be coming on here, I want everyone, our listeners and viewers, to write down a way that you can connect. She's going to put into the chat how you can be on her show. Listen, I personally was on her show. It was amazing. I got some returns. I got some hits. I got some contacts out for that show.
I'm trying to see and type without my
glasses. I want to make sure that I'm bringing you resources, tips, and strategies all the time. And one of the things that, again, we're talking about going into 2023 is how can we collaborate and add value? Okay, collaborate and add value. One of the ways right now you can collaborate with this amazing lady. I talk about visibility. We know visibility is the key to everything, but this amazing lady can get you in front of some key people, So please write down her information, how you can get on her show. We would greatly appreciate it. Say, listen, you heard it from Tapped In Magazine. So she can be able to, she may give you some extra sweetness. Like, she gave me a bunch of sweetness when I got there. I walk away with a Coach bag and everything.
Well, hey, I treat my guests, hey, one of my guests told me that I treat her like she was on the Oprah Winfrey show. I said, all right now, hey.
Yeah, it came with a lot of perks. But besides that, just being on her show and because of the contacts and the audience, I was able to walk away with some amazing contacts. So yes. Okay. So now, Wendy, what I love about what you said a lot of times, tell us a little bit about, the whole path and your passion behind the Financial Cures, and what that really means to someone, especially in business. Okay, guys, listen, especially in business, it's important to make sure that you have your finances all in order. Now, a lot of us, we don't think that when we become entrepreneurs and business owners, we just don't. It's different than just opening up the door and starting business. Okay. You could do that for maybe a few months, but at the end, when you start making money, now you got to kind of get it right.
Yes, that's for sure. Because everybody wants more money, but if you can't handle what you got, how are you going to handle more? Even the Bible says, if you're a good steward over a little, then God's going to bless you with much. So, so I started my entrepreneurial journey, almost 4 decades ago. I guess I was about 2 years old back then. And I was a rookie entrepreneur. I didn't know anything about business, but, God, that was his, his calling for me, because, I had made a lot of money, but I hated what I was doing. But when I started the business, I wasn't making any money, but I loved what I was doing. And I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew I was, happy, doing what the Lord led me to do. But I ended up, starting at a time when there was no internet, no social media. And the only thing you could do with a cell phone was make an expensive phone call. And my business was to, the clientele I was seeking were corporate, major corporations and government agencies. And in order to be considered, for the big contracts or consistent business back then, you had to have the brick and mortar, the employees, all the overhead that goes with it, carry the inventory. And, in order to, otherwise they were considering you as a mom and pop operation, not capable of handling the consistent business. So I did all that, like I said, I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew that's what I had to do, and I did it. And then, it was tough. I mean, times were tough because that overhead was kicking in every month, regardless of whether the orders and not just the orders, because eventually I got orders, but the cash flow wasn't the same. Mm-hmm. So I eventually, got it all together and was able to learn the hard way, from the school of hard knocks, how to get it together, how to maintain. And once you, understand how to, money, to make the money, and then how to make it work and how all that flows, with cash flow, I had, plenty of business on the books, but I didn't have the money in the bank. I had all kind of invoices that were pending, but I didn't have the money in the bank, and I had to pay, my vendors in order to stay in good standing. So, I learned, and I had some good mentors that taught me the right thing to do. So it worked out, but eventually I, got married again, and, that corporate and government agency business clientele was a little stressful. So I got into a consumer-based business, which was the tax preparation business. Turned out I'm still in that business, turned out to be really good, very profitable. And in 2014, when the Affordable Care Act mandated that everybody have health insurance, I expanded that business to include insurance and financial services. And I didn't want to be a hypocrite, so I bought all the products and services I was selling my clients because they were asking me, what do you have? Where's your money? And I can honestly say what I had and where my money was. So in 2017, I was diagnosed with a very aggressive form of breast cancer. And I said, okay, I knew it wasn't a death sentence, but I knew it was going to be a difficult journey. And, I said, okay, Lord, guide me on through this. And my doctor told me that, the form, everything, all the details about the disease, and gave me my treatment options. So I said, look, if it's aggressive, I'm going to be more aggressive. So my treatment meant chemotherapy every 3 weeks for a year. And, I had 5 surgeries, CAT scans, PET scans, all the other stuff, to conquer the disease. And my medical bills totaled almost $1.5 million. But because, I practice what I preach, my health insurance paid all that. But, just imagine if I didn't have that coverage, if I didn't have the proper protection, I'd still be paying off medical bills. So, that's why I let folks know you got to be properly protected, not just your health, but because I had other supplemental coverages, I got multiple 6-figure tax-free financial shots in the arm that allowed me to focus on my recovery and not worry about money. My businesses were already established, so I didn't have to worry about that either.
I have to stop you. In audience, I hope that you listen. First of all, we know takers and money makers, but I hope that you really listened to what Mrs. Wendy said. All what she had, if she had not had her financials in order, could you imagine? I just wanted to stop you there because a lot of times this is something that we take for granted. We take for granted not having the proper insurance. This is all, listen, when she talks about financial cures, this is what we're talking about, your whole financial portfolio. We're not just talking about a piece of your credit. I mean, all that is included, but you got to look at when you don't have these particular things in order, can you imagine how devastating things would be on the other end? I mean, she gave you a number. If you didn't even have proper coverage. I just had to say that.
Yeah, it's okay. And now I want to tell your audience it's open enrollment for health insurance where you can get affordable coverage. And, if you need that, contact me. I can get you, I'm licensed in a number of states. And it's important to have it because one of my colleagues, before I was diagnosed with cancer, we were coming out of a training session and he was saying, Wendy, I just came from the doctor a couple of days ago for my annual physical, and I found out I have kidney cancer. And I'm like, kidney cancer? I never really heard of anybody with kidney cancer. So I told him I was going to pray for him. And then I jokingly said, well, I know you're going to clock some dollars because I knew, the product, a cancer diagnosis, whatever, would bring, significant money in if you, had the proper protection. He said, Wendy, I don't have any of that. He said, I just got the minimum to meet the mandate, which meant, his treatment wasn't even going to be covered. So I didn't, like I said, at that time, I just, felt like, wow, I sympathized with him. But then again, I didn't, because you're in the business, you're supposed to have it. You're selling it to other people. Why don't you have it? I said this to myself. I didn't say it to him, but it just goes to show, even with some of my clients now, when I, tell them how to look at, the plans and which one I'm recommending for them, they're like, well, I don't go to the doctor. I haven't been to the doctor in years. It's like, yeah, but that doesn't mean nothing's wrong. You got to be prepared, because with COVID, especially with COVID, a lot of folks really were happy to have that coverage. But, it's kind of crazy. But after getting out of, all that, ringing that bell after that last chemotherapy treatment, I was like, thank you, Jesus. And that's when the whole financial cures, I did a presentation in front of a group. And I said, I found at the end of my presentation, Spirit said, okay, you got the financial cure for breast cancer. So I said, okay, I do. So, that's how financial cures came into play.
How the name financial cures came up. Okay.
That's how it came about. So I set up the business and, got all the logo and the brand and everything. And it's just been, I've just been following the Spirit, and it's been an awesome, experience, because people are really being helped, with my books, with the show, with my workshops. And, now inflation is no joke. And
listen, what is that, Prime? Anybody got some credit cards, which most of us do?
Yeah.
Listen, Prime ain't no joke.
I know.
No joke. It keeps going up. Listen, the more Prime goes up, and you ain't got no fixed interest rate on these credit cards. Most of them, am I right, don't have interest rate. Most of them are tied to Prime. So listen, when you get your bill in the mail and it's like it then doubled up $150, $200, you're going to wish you had some financial cure.
I know, that's right. And not just that, just, groceries, gas was astronomical. The prices are coming down, but eggs, stuff that I was buying on a regular, my husband and I, we were talking like, dang, this stuff is sky high. But fortunately for us, we feel the pain of inflation, but it's not crippling or excruciating. It's, you can feel it like, dang, but some folks, it's excruciating where they can't make it. It's difficult. So I try to teach people how to make their money work for them, how to maximize, opportunities to get things for free, live that VIP life without paying VIP money. You don't have to, let the inflation and all that cripple you financially, but you have to just understand how it works. So that's what my financial cure system, it helps you overcome those obstacles to getting optimal financial health. So there are a lot of people that talk about physical health and mental health, but nobody talks about financial health. And then they confuse and conflate financial health with financial literacy. And the difference is,
so let's stop real quickly, break the two different down, because we got to understand the difference in order for us to know exactly where we need to be.
Yeah, because financial health, financial literacy, you can have financial literacy and know everything, just like you can know you're supposed to eat right and exercise. But when you go to the doctor, you 50 pounds overweight, got high blood pressure, diabetes, and all that. And the same with your finances. You could be financially literate, but you can have poor, even fatal financial health, because it takes the action, put that knowledge into action. And some people just don't know, but those that do know, it's like faith without works is dead. So you can know everything and hope and wish, but if you don't do what it takes to make it happen, then, like I said, you can have all the financial literacy in the world, but your financial health can be fatal.
Yeah. Listen, and that's enough to kill you right there.
I know, that's right.
But I'm just saying, because I know, just talking with people, even in their business, like, because they didn't have the proper financial health, it's like they're more over their head. They're above.
Yeah.
They can't swim. They can't see, the water up above, because they didn't plan properly. They didn't get the necessity things that they have. And then, just like you said about making sure that, you have the right coverage or and things of that nature when it comes to business, because we don't have it. Some people don't even have the proper insurance coverage for their business. And then
That's
God forbid if something happens, people now ready, they sue happy, right?
That's true. And then I had one gentleman I approached about getting, coverage. He's an entrepreneur and he's like, I don't need insurance. It's like he said, I got my business. I'm making money. It's like, yeah, but your health is your wealth, and not just your health, but just having the structure where you don't have to be there every day. And if you aren't there, the finances are still flowing. There are all kind of ways to keep your business flowing financially without you being there, even whether you're, live too long, die too soon, or get sick along the way. And people just, the mindset, that's the key factor. Whether you're talking about finances, weight loss, addictions, or whatever, you got to have the right mindset. If you don't, then, you just, like they said, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. It's insane. You got to have the right mindset. So that's where I start with my clients, because if you're not thinking right, you're not going to get off to a good start.
That's so true. It's like, we were just talking with Rita earlier too. Like it's you got to have the right mentality. You have to go into it, being open-minded, not being close-minded, and not, a lot of things that we do too is we always let our cup be too full that we don't have no room for anything else. Like, pour some of that water out, because guess what? We can be learning something every day.
You have to continue to learn. You're never too old to learn, because things are changing. I'm old school, but still things are happening new school. All this technology, that wasn't around when I started. But hey, you better know I'm not an expert, but I know what I need to know, because if you don't, you work yourself to death. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to stay on it.
You really do. Okay, so real quickly, give us like what would you suggest that someone do? One, we know they need to connect with you, and I hope you put your information in there, because a lot of times, people be like, oh, where do I find it? We're going to give her your information right now so you can connect and click on her link, buy her book, get on her show. She has tons of workshops. You guys, this is important. Listen, we want to go into 2023 already on fire. We want to go in 2023 with all of our ducks in a row, everything ready, that we could be the leaders and the servants that we need to be. And we can't have any of this stuff hold us back. We got to really be prepared. And people, earlier I said, people are watching. So people are watching how you do things. And if you're not doing things the way that you're trying to teach other people to do things, then guess what? It's a lose-lose situation.
Yeah.
Because 9 times out of 10, people are not going to want to do business with you. You can't even do what you asking other people to do.
Yeah, you have to practice what you preach, because, everything that I teach and preach, I've been there, done that, and learned from the School of Hard Knocks. Yeah, I got a doctorate degree, but you don't have to have that. You just have to have some knowledge of basic principles, and you have to have discipline, which is selecting and choosing what you want more over what you want now. You can't just say, okay, I want this $500 or $5,000 bag, and you ain't got $500 to put in it, But a lot of people do that. Their priorities are screwed up. And I have a lot of my clients, I said, look, instead of spending that, $200 or $300, whatever the cost is for these video games for your kids, grandkids, or whoever, take that money, put in an index universal life policy for them, so that by the time they get to be in college, they'll have money for college. They'll be able to buy a car. If they want to get married, they'll be able to pay for this expensive wedding, which I don't recommend. And if they want to buy a house, they could buy a house. So the younger you start investing in your children and building that financial legacy and creating that generational wealth, the better off they'll be, and you'll be, because you've left a legacy. It's not just, a lot of people die and, their family has medical bills. They got to pay for the funeral, which is not cheap. Which I've got a good plan for that. It's not that, final expense stuff, but it's something that pays for 7 people at one flat fee. And, you don't have to worry about burying. I had a gentleman at my church. We were just talking about him, and we got a bereavement notice saying that he had passed away. And he passed away, back in November, early November. but because of finances, they couldn't bury him right away, and it's, you don't want to leave your family with the burden of medical bills, funeral bills, because it's not cheap to bury somebody. So, or even cremate them. That may be the cheapest way, but it's still expensive. So you want to be in a position where, you're an asset to your family and not a liability.
Oh, absolutely. I have one of the ladies from my conversations over coffee, she always says, listen, GoFundMe is not an insurance policy.
I know that's right. And I have contributed to a lot of people's, funerals, and it's ridiculous because, I could pay for one, but I won't pay for one that, I don't have to. But just the fact that you have to go out at that time, you're grieving, and you don't want to ask people for money, but you got to if you don't have your proper protection,
That's so true. Okay, Miss Wendy, listen, I love it every time we get together and talk. Listen, this is just a little bit snippet. Wendy is in our top 22 influential leader Tapped In magazine. She's put some amazing stuff in there. We had just a brief conversation. This lady is full of wealth, knowledge, and information. Where if you don't have your financial cures together, let her put it together. It's okay to just have a conversation. Even if you feel that it's not the best thing, listen, give her an opportunity to sit down with you, go over your information and your plan, see what you have, get some direction. Because that's a lot of what happens is we don't want to come to someone and ask them for some information. We don't want to come to people and ask them for help. And we have to stop that. We're in an age and time right now that we got to get all the help we need. And it's okay to stick out and ask for help and get yourself together. She got resources, tools, books, all of it that you can use in order to help yourself get into a better financial situation.
Can I give your audience a free gift?
You most certainly can.
Okay. Well, what I'm giving away, you can go to my website, thefinancialcures.com. That's thefinancialcures.com, and get my free guide, 6 ways to stop hemorrhaging money. Because people are hemorrhaging money and you don't want to hemorrhage money. Then get my book. The first book is Diagnose Your Financial Health. You got to know, where you are to get to where you want to go. It's just like if you're lost and you don't know how to get to your destination because you don't know where you are. But I want to, close with my quote, which is, if you think right, speak right, and do right, things will flow right to optimize your financial health.
Oh, girl, we can end that no better way than that. We can end it. Okay, y'all, listen. Thank you all for tuning into Tapped In magazine. We're going to have some more amazing influential leaders that's going to be joining us either later today or just throughout the week. It's so important that you tune in, listen to these amazing ladies, all what they have to offer. They have something that can help you elevate yourself and your business to the next level. Listen, I always go to tappedinmagazine.info. We're going to be gearing and kicking off our 2023 edition. Listen, you got to be there. You got to be there and get tapped into Tapped In magazine. But Wendy, thank you so much. I appreciate you, Miss Lady. Congratulations on everything that you do, because you do so much and you give back so much. And I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
Until next time, guess what? We'll see you then.